November the 5th, 2018. Guys, one day until the elections, and I want to take a look at the weather that's going to affect the U.S. and the voting regions because we got a nor'easter that's going to travel up the East Coast. But they're saying, I will link to this AccuWeather article, that voter turnout for Tuesday's midterm elections may be affected as a potent storm unleashes rain, strong winds, and potentially violent thunderstorms across the eastern U.S. and snow drops into the northern plains. So we got, you got bad weather coming up the East Coast, and you got cold and inclement weather coming down across the mountain ranges. Weather was found to be, on an average, nearly 20% of the change in voter turnout based on an hour analysis, according to AccuWeather data scientist and meteorologist Tim Loftus. According to the research, weather influences some voters' response when making a decision to head to the polls. Sure it does. Tomorrow. And you've got to get out and vote. Now, there's a tremendous amount of information in this article, and it goes per location as the weather moves, things like that. So I want you to come here and look at your location. We'll go over some of it, but it would take an hour to read it all. But again, check out the link. Decide if you need to go early, late, if you need to carpool, things like that. Guys, this is a life changer election. It says Democrats are more weather sensitive, which is kind of strange when compared to Republicans, and among the most weather sensitive were African Americans, those 65 and older, and 18 to 24-year-olds, he said. Now, anybody 65 or older, it doesn't matter what your race is, you're more weather sensitive. We all understand that. But again, look at the charts below. It says below is a breakdown of the weather expected on Election Day for the states with key races. Several of these states are in the path of adverse weather. For example, Maine, it says, for those that don't like to vote in wet weather, the morning may be the better time to cast your ballot across Maine on Tuesday. While there will be a little rain to start the day, steadier rain is expected to sweep from west to east in the afternoon. A rumble of thunder cannot be ruled out. Election Day will be cloudy with temperatures slowly climbing from the upper 30s and lower 40s in the morning to the middle 40s and lower 50s. So you need to have your jackets and your rain gear and umbrellas ready. New York, generally the warmer the low temperature, the more New Yorkers tend to go out to vote. And in the research, it said New Yorkers are less likely to vote during windy conditions, especially when rain is present. And that makes sense nationwide, actually. Early morning temperatures are expected to be above normal throughout the state on Tuesday, but the storm is expected to sweep rain and increasingly windy conditions from west to east as the day progresses. Vote early here. This is how you will decide. Now, Florida's key to the nation. Your governorship is online there, and your state senator. You've got Gillum and DeSantis very close. You've got Nelson and Scott very close. But it said that most Floridans enjoy voting amid warm weather, as all of us do, but turnout tends to be lower on very warm and muggy election days. I think there's a pretty good move of voters this year on both sides. And I don't think the Florida weather will be a big problem, but everyone needs to vote. The type of weather that is expected this coming Tuesday, in other words, warm and muggy. Be prepared. Showers and thunderstorms may rattle the panhandle, creating lightning dangers for anyone waiting outside to vote or walking to polling stations. Look at your local weather in the panhandle, guys. Look at Mobile. Look at Fort Walton. And see what time these are happening. Get in the opening between the storms. Mississippi, most of the severe thunderstorms that threaten Mississippi on Monday night will depart the state by the time polls open on Tuesday. Now, here in central Mississippi, we've been getting rain for a couple days, and it looks like it's trying to clear out. That's a good thing. Shower thunderstorm may linger over southernmost areas where sticky air will remain. Guys, don't worry about Mississippi. It's a red state, I promise you. Now, Texas voters are more influenced by temperature than rainfall. It can get pretty hot and cold over there depending on where you're at. According to Loftus, the polls, it says Texas Democrats fare better in cooler weather as opposed to warm conditions. kind of like snowflakes, I guess. Anyway, cool air will be lacking across Texas on Tuesday, with temperatures rising to above normal values. Highs will range from the 60s in the Panhandle to the lower 80s in San Antonio and Houston, to the lower 90s in Deep South Texas. It sounds like T-shirts and shorts, guys. But I want to, again, link to this article, and it's important. Don't get caught in some storms, get turned away from the polls or anything like that. Plan this. If our president, who is in his 70s, can do 2 rallies a day for the last month almost, we can do this. It's a heads up. Be safe.